Yo, what's up, everybody? Oh, my camera's covered. What's up, guys? This is Jeremy with Phat Airlines. So nice to be here. So nice to be here with you guys. Thanks for joining today. Today we're going to be playing some LHR, and we're going to also be talking about the upcoming call sign competition. It's been a while since we had a call sign competition, but we're going to host a call sign competition at SCL, Santiago de Chile. We're going to be hosting that, so go ahead and buy some planes. Right now, what we're going to do in today's stream is we're going to brainstorm some ideas that we could do to kind of make it a more interesting call sign competition. But I'm excited for it. But we're also going to be playing some LHR. LHR, we're only 1, 2, 3 levels away from unlocking Sydney on my stream only account, Phat Empire. So that's pretty exciting. If you guys want to send me contracts to my stream only account, you can do that through Twitch. You redeem some of your Phat coins, and then you can I will accept your contract request. But yeah, how's everybody doing today? I want to thank Daniel Aviation. Thanks for being here. Denju, thanks for being first. Nico Bellic, what's up, bro? We got TJ Bay with the 4 months of tier 1. Thank you, TJ. We got Educate. Yo, what's up, Educate? Educate with the 2 months. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate that. Thank you for the support. Who else we got here? We got True Believer with 10 months of Prime. Oh my gosh. Thank you, dude, for all that support too. Who else? We got Voitando, who's in Italy. Nice. Hockey fan is here. We got G Marcus. What's up? It says it's time for Amsterdam Airport. It's going to be a while before Amsterdam Airport comes out, my dude. It's going to be a while. Because I think what's happening right now with World of Airports is they are focusing on the other continents, right? So that's why we got South America. You know, SCL is a South American airport too, but that was more of an exception to their rule. They wanted to help out, help one of their employees, one of the other devs who was going through a rough time with their health. So really cool on WOA devs for doing that. I mean, I would appreciate that if that was me, you know. But yeah, Amsterdam. I know it is some of some developers. Like, there's multiple people. Like, I think there's like 1 or 2 developers who really like Amsterdam Airport. But I think it'll be a while before we see it in the game. Yo, Monkey Sim, what's up? Monkeyism is here with an Air China ad. That's funny. What's up, Hammy? What's up, Hammy? Nice to see you. Hungarian's here. Magiskai's here. We got Air Sri Puram. What's up, my dude? Adam Cack is here too. What's up, Adam Cack? Yo, I got a random arrival of your plane the other day. That was pretty cool. Class of Aviation's here. France, Japan. Guys, we're streaming both live on YouTube and on Twitch. So whichever platform you want to join us on, I recommend I recommend Twitch. But if whatever platform you want to join on, that is fine. Yo, what's up, Noodle? Thank you for 11 months. That's a long time, man. Almost a year. Next year will be a year. Next month will be a year. That's really cool. Thank you for the support, bro. That's really appreciated. You know, it helps me make more videos, and that's another thing too. I don't know if you guys signed up for my phatAirlines.com newsletter, but earlier this week I sent out an email just apologizing for the lack of email contracts. I've been so busy the last couple of months. We got a lot of things happening both at work and in my personal life. So it's things have just been kind of crazy. And sometimes it's hard to it's easy to play World of Airport. This is my opinion. It's easy to play World of Airports, but it can be hard to send contract requests. And that's because when it comes to sending a contract request, you have to thank you, Connor, for a follow. But yeah, when it comes to contract requests, you have to let the plane land, and then you have to let the plane. Then you have to configure the plane first. Well, okay, let's go right to the beginning. Actually, let's thank all the people who are just showering me with support. I appreciate that. Connor, thanks for the follow. Control Man, thanks for the follow. And Raptor with 2 months, bro. Thank you so much for that. Aren't you away? Aren't you away? I don't know, man. But I appreciate it, dude. Zyrox is here. we got William, we got Volgafly. Why not Russian Airlines and WOA? It's out of the World of Airports developers' hands, by the way. You should look at the World of Airports developers are based out of the Czech Republic, and they have certain laws. Now they won't say this because they're not. They probably can't. But there are certain laws that prohibit them from doing certain things. And while it may not be an explicit law, you never want to be on the bad side of the law. You know, they got the government has way more resources than a small, independent studio. So I think once the laws change in regards to the war in Ukraine, then we might see some Russian airports or Russian airlines and things like that. But until then, I would not expect it until the war is over. So, yep. All right. Yo, Wizzy's here. We got Kuba here. We got Alfie here. We got Brud Channels. Yo, Brud Channels, you're first. Yeah. Brud Channels said, I'm here for like the first time in a few months. It's been a while, man. Why is there no British Concorde as a contract? I don't know, man. It is a special arrival. Probably just keep it a special plane. I mean, this is a British Airways Concorde right here, but this is an event plane. Only available today. All right. But yeah, let's get back to my email contracts, right? So yeah, I want to apologize to all you guys who are signed up to my email contract list because it's been a long time since you guys have seen a contract from me, almost a month now, and that's because life has been kind of busy. Yep, life has been kind of busy, both personally and professionally, and there's a couple like major things happening in my life in the next couple of weeks, actually. So that's pretty exciting as well. But one thing, the one thing that I want to say is that it's throughout this entire time, even though life has been busy, I'm still able to play World of Airports. Playing World of Airports is not the hard part. The hard part is sending contracts to other players. When it comes to sending contracts to other players, not only do you have to buy the plane, then you have to configure the plane, then you have to wait for the plane to land, then you have to assign the plane to an individual user, and then you have to wait for that plane to be accepted before it even leaves your airport. So, buying the plane is usually not a problem for me anymore. Waiting for the plane to land can be a problem sometimes. When I have 300 planes waiting to land, like I have today in this account, I have 249 planes here. But when I have 300 planes waiting to land, it can take a long time for planes to land. All right, so that's a little bit of a problem, not like a major problem, but it's a little bit of a problem. And then when I'm also waiting, then I have to configure the plane. That's more of a time sink than anything. Once you figure out the right configuration, and some of them I have memorized, some of them I don't, but once I figure that out, that's not too hard. But it's the landing the planes, waiting for them to taxi and park, and then sending the plane to another player. So that takes a lot of time, and sometimes I just want to play and handle planes. But what I'm getting to now is, if you haven't signed up for the PhatAirlines.com newsletter, there will be a new email going out today. And I'm sending out, I think, an E295 from GRU, which can go to St. Martin or to SCL. So if you have SCL, you definitely want to sign up for the Phat Airlines newsletter. And if you don't have SCL or St. Martin, and don't worry, you can sign up. You'll still get notified about our email contracts. And then next time, I try to rotate it so that way we're getting new airports that are eligible every single mailing. But yeah, so if you're not eligible this time, I'm gonna try to make sure we at least have Innsbruck for the next email contract, and then we'll be good to go. So definitely, sign up today, because we're sending out that email after stream. All right. So, and if you're late to stream, or if you're watching the replay, don't worry, just sign up, because we're gonna keep doing some email contracts. It's just, I get everybody who responds back with an eligible airport gets an airplane. Everybody. What's up, Volga Fly? Says, Phat, please answer me. I think I did. You gotta be patient, man. You know, it's 11:18, and I'm reading your message from 11:13. And, you know, this stream's not about you. I answered your question. Just be patient, man. Watch the stream. Enjoy what's happening, you know. Listen to other people in the chat, because some other people answered you as well. And we'll be good. What's up, Air3 Param? Can I send you a contract to your SCL and Phat Recon account? Yeah, you sure can. Anybody can send me contracts, no problem at all. Let me know your WoWo username though, because sometimes, especially if your username is different than like your YouTube or Twitch username, I just like to know who I'm playing with, you know, because then it helps me remember. And then when I see you in chat, it makes me excited. Especially now, you could change your username. You can go up here to the menu, go to game settings, you can go to profile, and for 5 gold planes, you could change your player name. So that's pretty cool. You can also change your default colors and your default livery. So I know a lot of times people had like usernames that they didn't like or prefer, because it was just kind of like assigned to them when they first logged in, not realizing that they were going to be stuck with that for the rest of their WoA career. But now you can change it, so that's pretty cool. Yo, somebody subscribed, right? Yo, Johnny Oderdoch, thank you for 2 months, bro. Thank you for that. But yeah, at SCL, I actually I reached international status airport at SCL earlier this week. So I still have like 20 levels to go until I max out the airport, but making some great progress, and I will be still accepting contracts. I'm having a lot of fun with SCL. A lot more fun with SCL than GRU. See, GRU, your landing planes have to cross a runway in order to get to their stand, but at SCL there's no crossing of runways, which makes the operations feel a lot more smoother. You know, everything just seems to be getting to their stands faster. I feel like I have a lot more planes at stands than I have handling crew to handle, which I think is a great problem to have. I'd much rather have more planes on the ground and not enough crew to handle them all at once than to have too much handling crew and not enough planes. So I'm enjoying that. I'm really feeling like SCL could be more of a long-term airport, or at least an airport I play more frequently in the future. But we'll have to see once the next airport comes out what actually happens, you know. Connor wants me to send some planes to San Diego. I definitely have a lot of planes that can go to San Diego, but I don't really send planes during stream. Your best bet is to make a post on the Phat Airlines Discord. We have a contract board on the Discord, and I'm often looking for players that are playing at San Diego, especially if you're looking for a C plane, a C or D sized plane. I can send you some. I have planes at my Washington, I have planes at St. Martin, I even have planes at MSY that can go to San Diego, and I'm looking for players. But every time I look, I go to the Phat Airlines Discord, and I go to the contract board on Discord, and I look for the tag, like I look for posts that have the tag San Diego's, SAN. So make a post there, and then when I'm at an airport and I have planes ready to send or just available to send, I go to the contract board and I look to see who's looking for planes and who's looking for planes that I didn't already send planes to. So do that for me, and you'll get some planes from me for sure. Especially at San Diego. I'm always looking for San Diego. It looks like, for me, it feels like there's not a lot of players that are playing San Diego, which is kind of understandable in a lot of ways. You know, it's a 1 runway airport. It's not a large airport. It only has like 4 E and F stands for passengers and 2 DEF stands for cargo. So it's really kind of limiting in that way. But great to find somebody who's playing that. Why government interference to gaming industry? Bro, do you know what the government is? They interfere in everything. Mr. Airline says, and in WOA can't land Ryanair or Wizz? What? Those planes land all the time, bro. You could only play the landing mini game on your own planes, so it's not specific to Ryanair or Wizz Air. But yeah, you can land those planes no problem. I just don't have them in this account. This account, I'm pretty much only playing with other players, and I feel like I'm leveling up pretty quickly in this account for only playing with other players and for only playing once per week. Sometimes twice a week, but most of the times once per week. You know what I've been doing? Because like I keep saying this every Saturday, and every once in a while I do a midweek stream. But instead, what I've been doing at night, man, I've been working on a couple things, right? So I've been working on one at like 8 or 9 p.m. at night. I do a workout. So I'm currently in process of losing weight. So I'm losing a lot of weight, which is pretty cool. I'm enjoying it, and working out is a key part of that, right? And of course, diet too. But working out is up there on the list. And then after I do my workout, my evening workout, what I do is then I go to my computer, and then I'm actually working on a couple of new guides for Phat Airlines, right? So one of the things I want to do with Phat Airlines, I want to kind of go back to like my original videos where I'm making like tutorial videos. So that's one of my plans for the rest of 2025 is to create more videos that are tutorial based, right? So when I say tutorial based, it's like how to get gold planes, how to get silver planes, what is the best D plane, or how to play LHR, things like that. Questions that you guys are asking often, which premium pass should I unlock first? Those kind of questions I want to answer in my new videos. But not just in videos. I want to make emails for them. I want to make also a text guide on phatairlines.com website. So the website's going to have text-based guides as well for all you guys who don't want to watch a video but are more than happy to read a text guide. So that's also part of my 2025 plan for the future, is to go into that area. And we're going to be hosting a call sign competition as well. I'm really excited for the call sign competition because we're going to be, I'm putting in the groundwork, the foundations, so that way we can have call sign competitions every time a new airport gets released. I didn't get to do it for GRU, so we might have to go back and do a call sign competition for GRU. But every time a new airport releases, we'll do a call sign competition. And I talked to Kubasan, who's a developer of World Airports, and we might be able to give away some gold planes for the winners. So with the call sign competition that I want to host, one of the things that I'm looking for is I want to get 5 winners. So I'm thinking we're gonna have 5 different categories when it comes to the call sign competition, right? So what that means is we're gonna have like different categories. And when I think about categories for call signs, I'm thinking about something like maybe a funny category, an aviation category, names category. So I asked some of the volunteers in the Phat Airlines Discord for their ideas, right? And one of the things that we saw was some of the ideas that came up was an aviation based call sign category, right? So it could be like an airport name or acronym, right? So let's say you get SCL as your call sign. That could be entered into that airport aviation category. It could also be WOA specific, right? Another category could be something where you're going with a country code, right? Like ENG for England, or USA for USA, or United States of America, right? So that could be another one. We could also do people names as a third category. We could just do acronyms, animals, and like just like maybe a catch-all for everything else. So I think there's a couple of cool call signs opportunities that we can implement. And I want to know if you guys have any categories that we could probably put that you would like to see included in the Phat Airlines call sign competition. By the way, I'm 10 minutes behind in chat, so I'm catching up. I'm getting there though. Hammy says, my problem with batch buying planes is that sometimes there are planes waiting to be accepted and not enough gates. Yes, you know, especially at like the smaller airports, that's a huge problem. That's why you'll see a lot of my contracts now will only come from bigger airports, which kind of stinks for some of you guys because, well, it stinks for me because I want more reasons to play other airports. But if I have like, well, I have over 1,000 contracts at my LHR, my main account. So of course I'm going to play LHR every single day versus St. Martin where I only have like 200 total contracts. So yeah. How do you sign up for the email contract? So you just go to phatairlines.com, and on that website there is just a box on top where you can enter your World of Airports username, you can enter your email address, and you'll get a confirmation email from me as well once you get that. And then later today we'll send out that contract. I'm gonna do it right after the stream. Okay, Air 3 Prom in WOA, gotcha. Thank you for your username. Can we swap accounts? That's funny. True Believers trying to get the Antonov 225. Let's go. Yeah, GRU is kind of slow. Yep. Oh yeah. Hammy says the name change is kind of it's painful to keep track of. Players change their name, but the contracts do not update, and it's really annoying. So yeah, existing contracts don't update, but new contracts coming in are with the updated name. So yeah, it's definitely a little confusing. Definitely confusing. Is Red Concord active? I mean, Red Concord always came with the disclaimer that they would not be playing daily. So I don't know what you consider active, but I'm receiving some planes from Red Concord now, so that means they at least played from last Saturday to this Saturday, at least once, right? Or rather, that they handled the Concord they're sending to me, because it doesn't mean that they're exactly active either, right? Just because they handle one plane doesn't mean that they're active. But yeah, Red Concord was always with the disclaimer that they were not going to be a daily player. I know at the time while they were playing with while they were actively sending lots of contracts, they were playing daily, but I know they knew that they were daily gameplay wasn't going to sustain. 107 Elio's going on vacation to Turkey. Nice. Congrats, man. Hope you enjoy your vacation. Is there a way to edit the username of your email contract? Should I get a new one? If you use you could go back to, so I mean, one thing you could do is you can go back to the initial sign up form and just use your same email address and just update your World of Airports username, and it'll update my end with your new World of Airports username. It'll overwrite, as long as you use the same email address, it'll overwrite what we had on file already. Otherwise, when you reply back, that's why we always ask for you guys when you're asking for a contract to send your username and what airport you want it to, because I know people can change their usernames. So yeah, when you reply back, I'll have your username because you reply it back in the comments or in the response. DJ Bay say, I think I'm going to like Muscat. Muscat's a fun airport. It's a fun airport to play for sure. I really enjoy Muscat, yes. Let's look at the map here. We got no incoming planes, but we got some planes heading out to different players. We got a plane going to Prague, to Aerolíneas Santiago. We got Red Concord going back to St. Martin in 22 minutes. We got a plane going to SFF Airlines in 30 minutes to Bari. Laflat's Concorde arriving at IAD in 30 minutes. And then a couple of longer time planes, which we won't go through one by one. Hi, Tobe. I love that one. Funky Mighty Machine says, sorry, Phat, I was gone. Did you ever answer my question? I don't know, man. I might have. I might not have. I mean, with YouTube, you can rewind. But if you want, ask it again, and I could tell you. I don't really keep track like that, bro. But yeah, I'm caught up to chat now, so that's pretty cool. So, but yeah, sometimes you guys ask some simple questions that don't require simple answers, and that's one thing. You know, I don't like giving simple answers unless it's like a valid reason to, because not everybody plays World of Airports the same, which is a cool thing about World of Airports, right? Like, you can play World of Airports differently. Like, I have a free to play account. You can play World of Airports completely for free. I have a main account where I buy gold planes, right? So, and with that account, I do a mix of player planes, my own fleet planes, and I do some non-player planes. And then I have this account, which is my stream only account. But this account, I play with only players. But then you have some players who don't play with any players at all, and they only do their own fleet and other arrivals. Some people will try to mimic real life, and they'll even assign the planes only to the gates that they get assigned to in real life. So there's so many different ways to play World of Airports. I just try to give you the tips when it comes to gaming, and you know, what's the thought process behind it, so that way you guys can make like your own educated decisions. Yeah. Okay, Hemi said, my problem with the name change is if I receive the contract from player A and then they renew the contract as player B. This change is not known to me. That gets annoying because the change is not trackable, and now I do not know how to contact the player. That is very true. That's interesting. Yeah, I always wished, like, with the name change, that they would have something like, I know, like, I think even on a lot of different platforms, I know on RuneScape, if a player on RuneScape changes their username, then I think it's like for 30 days, it'll show up formerly known as, and then it has their old username. I wish that would probably solve a lot of that problem. There is, like, if you go into your contracts here, you go to active contracts, and like there was maybe you hit the info button or something, or so, I don't know where it would be, but it would have to, I wish there was somewhere that would tell you, okay, well, Adam Cack didn't change their name, but like, oh, we got like 88 here, right? Like, did this person change their username? I don't know. But ultimately, yeah, if there was like something that said, hey, this was this person's old username, that would be nice. You had a guy asking you to redirect planes, but then he asked under his new name and you didn't know who he was anymore. Yep. But another thing people could do too is we have a player news channel on the Discord. You could post your old username and your new username as a player news post, and let people know that you changed your username. That way, you know, it kind of stops the confusion. People might be like not accepting your request because of it, you know? Raptor tries to do a bit of both real world flights and with player contracts. Nice. What's up, Matthew Sinclair? Says, would it be possible if you can handle your 772 at MSY? I haven't seen it in ages of one more handling on it. Sure thing, man. I'll play some MSY today. I will play some MSY tonight. Yep, no problem. Yeah, a problem with MSY and those bigger planes is that MSY does not have a lot of like D, E or F passenger gates, right? So, and the problem gets even worse when you have the delivery manager on. So if you don't know what the delivery manager does, right? The delivery manager automatically selects and assigns stands, right? So what will happen at MSY, and this happens to a lot of other airports with smaller plane sizes too, but at MSY you see it a lot because MSY has shared stands. So sometimes the delivery manager will assign like a C plane or a B plane to a gate, and then that blocks off any of the D, E, or F planes from landing. And then even though I'm spending 2 hours playing MSY, I'm never all of my D, E, or F gates are not being used for D, E, F planes because they're being automatically assigned by the delivery manager with C or B planes. I know the easy thing, or the quick thing to do is to just turn off the delivery manager, but I'm also like, when I have a list, so that's another problem I run into, is that when I'm looking for a D, E, or F size plane to land, and it's one of those shared gates or shared stands, you're gonna get a list like this where all of the plane sizes show up. So it gets kind of hard to just look for only E planes or only D planes. And then, I think I have a lot of the planes that are at the final 3. Planes that are at 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 are usually hearted. But even still, some of them I don't always catch them all. So I have to still go through the list. But yeah, I will definitely play some MSY tonight, and I'll look for that plane. You got it, bro. Dyrock says, I'm the only one who still plays WoA daily even though I'm on holiday. Now that's how I got started, man. I'd be on vacation, on the beach, at the pool, and I was playing World of Airports every day, all day. I'm still playing it every day, but I mean, the game was a lot different then too. But yeah, that's how I just love playing World of Airports. So. Yo, Manika, what's up, man? Manika, you're back from vacation? And you just changed your username, but I think people will still know who it is? I hope so. Air Manika, oh, gotcha. I think we'll understand. Alfie says, does anybody want a 748 from BKK? You can go to Nagoya, Muscat, or Sydney. Hammy said, the shared stand is one of the major reasons I refuse to use delivery managers at most airports. Yeah, I just don't have, well, sometimes I have the time to go ahead and assign planes, in which case I go ahead and manually assign planes, but I also have to be paying attention, The worst, in my opinion, is when I step away from the game and I think it's only going to be 5 minutes, and it ends up being like 30 minutes instead, and then I have like all the tower managers working, but nothing's happening. No planes are landing because no planes are being assigned to gates. So I just keep the delivery manager on. That's why I'm looking forward to like the update where they're gonna have like the scheduling feature, because on the scheduling feature it looks like the scheduling feature is going to have the capability to also disable certain sizes on stands, which will be super helpful when it comes to just handling making sure that the right size planes gets to the stands. I much rather disable like the shared stands and come back to it later than to I much rather have them disabled, even if it causes a little bit of slowdown for my C or B planes from landing. I much rather just have those planes blocked from blocking my larger stands. Especially since I play with a lot of players, so I have a lot of larger planes coming to me anyways. Kuba says, if you unlock IAD on stream account, I will send 748F from LHR. Nice. Cheese Editor says, yo, Fat, how much A321NX should I get before switching to a larger aircraft? Go straight for a bigger one. I play LHR, by the way. I mean, it's always good to have a mixture of airplanes. Each airplane is going to have its different role, right? Like, if you have an A21NX, that airplane can go to Washington. It can go to also Innsbruck, right? So you can have a lot of those planes. You can buy a lot of them too because they're a lot cheaper than a larger plane. Larger planes are going to be great at many airports though, because they're how you're going to get other player contracts. But how many you should buy, I don't know. The more you buy, the quicker it becomes for you to earn some wallers too. Because if you have more planes in your fleet planes will just give you more wallers for handling. An A380 that I'm handling here from Mert is giving me 2,700 wallers, right? But if this was my own A380, which we handled earlier, an A380, it would be giving me over 10,000 wallers, right? So that's a larger plane. When it comes to like a A21NX, when you're handling another player's A21NX, A321NX, you're gonna get about like 700 wallers. But when you're handling your own, you can get 2,000 to 4,000 wallers for handling it. So by having more in your fleet, it'll actually help you with earning wallers. It kind of feels counterproductive in a way sometimes, because when you're spending your wallers, you're just getting back down to zero. It's like, how am I ever going to buy a large plane if I keep spending it? But over time, you're going to just have an abundance. You're going to have extra. Hockey fan never uses delivery, so it sounds like a lot of people skip out on the delivery manager, and I think the scheduling feature is going to help out a lot of us. It doesn't look like I'm going to get any levels today. It looks like all the planes that we're handling today, there's very few, if any, that are at the final handling. So we'll see how fast we get through these planes, but we might switch to like an airport like Prague or something, just to make a little bit of progress there. But it'll be a couple minutes, many minutes. Is anybody else excited about custom liveries? I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. We're gonna definitely have to do some competitions to come up with like color schemes and see who can come up with the nicest, the best livery for it. Like, I think that's going to open up so much creativity. I've seen some of you guys' creativity in other games. I'm excited to see what that looks like here in World of Airports too. I want a flamingo livery. Yeah, I mean, I wonder if you're going to be able to like take some shapes, or like how like the editing is going to be. Would you be able to like take some shapes and then make it into like a flamingo looking figure? That would be pretty cool. Mine will have satellite images and nature, Sri Param says. It might be like Airlines Painter from AM. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so much opportunity it could have. I know they said it was one of their ambitious plans. So hopefully, we'll see what that sounds like or looks like. Hopefully it comes out sooner rather than later too. But it's my my opinion, my theory is that I think like this is one of the features that's going to kind of allow alliances to come out, right? Because with alliances, they said there's also going to be like an alliance livery, right? So in order to have like custom alliance liveries, you need to be able to make custom liveries. So I feel like all these features that they're like hinting at and like telling us about are really like laying the groundwork for alliances. So hopefully we get to see alliances soon too. What premium pass should you get? You have BKK, you have LHR, and Leipzig. You play BKK, LHR, Leipzig, and IAD, but I want to play Muscat. I feel like I play too many airports. Yeah, I can understand like how it feels to play too many airports. I guess the next premium pass then would be like any airport that you're leveling up. You know, Muscat is a good one, but there's no like special planes you get with the Muscat premium pass. It's just a good premium pass to have because, I mean, you really need the extra handling crew if you're handling a bunch of the larger planes. There's so many stands at Muscat, at MCT, that can handle larger planes that, like, if you have all of them on the ground being handled at once, you're going to run into handling crew issues, right? So that can help you out a lot, but I don't know if that would be like a priority. I'd probably prioritize another airport that you're playing more frequently, or if you're like whatever the latest airport you've unlocked is. Yo, what's up, Sammy? Alfie says, I hope it'll be like Forza's Forza Horizon 5's livery designer. Bro, isn't that like, didn't that cause a lot of like internet drama, their livery designer? Like people were making like racist liveries or stuff, or controversial liveries, I should say. But there was, I mean, the fact that people could be creative enough to do things like that, I guess, is a good thing. Yo, what's up, bro? To Bridge. You wonder the next update, hopefully it'll put the planes, they could put registered numbers. I don't think that's ever, I don't think that is something they've teased at late at all. So I'm not exactly sure if that is something that we can expect. But yeah, I'm not sure if that's something that we can expect. What you probably could expect is having not a plane registration, but more of like your player name might be on your plane. But I don't think I would be expecting any kind of plane registration or call sign. I mean, the only thing we have in this game that's like similar to a plane registration is a call sign, right? But the plane registration and the call sign are two separate things in real life. Yeah, I don't know if that's something you could expect. I think it would be pretty interesting, but I don't know what its use would be in the game other than for realism. How can you level up easily level up at Innsbruck? Bro, Innsbruck is a hard airport to level up because you can only handle A, B, and C planes and like one D plane at a time. So that makes that airport really tough to play. And I mean, there's a couple things you want to do, right? It depends on what level you're at, right? But like if you're first starting, you really got to take it slow. It's not an airport you're gonna like. You're not gonna get to Bari in one day. It's not gonna happen. It's gonna take a couple of days. But what you could do is you can, I would say at first play 30 minutes per day, or maybe 30 minutes every 3 hours if you can do that, because most of the planes that you get from Innsbruck at first especially are coming from, you know, a 3-hour round trip or less. They're not too far away, so a lot of the planes that you're going to be handling will come back to your airport in 3 hours or less. So if you could play every 3 hours, that would get you the most handlings at a time. You could also play for non-stop during those 3 hours, but it would just be kind of slow, right? You could probably play some other games and do some other things in the meantime while you're waiting for those planes to come back. I mean, if you go up here to your radar, you can see when the planes are coming, right? So we have some planes coming to me right now from Hammy, right? So we have Hammy, and you can see these planes are coming back in 15 minutes. But if we look at the contract information, you can see the round trip for this is 47 minutes, right? So that means this plane, like, if I didn't have 249 contracts to handle, arrivals to handle, then, and I was at Innsbruck and we only had like less than 10 or something like that, that means I could come back every hour and that plane would probably be back. So that's another thing, you don't have to play nonstop. You could just handle a few planes, then come back after, 3 hours or something like that. Another thing too that I like to do is I like to, in the beginning especially, I like to have a mix of non-player planes, player planes, and my own fleet planes, usually about evenly split. I have non-player planes in the beginning, so that way I can make sure I have planes coming in. If I do play every 3 hours, you want to make sure you have planes to handle, and that's the problem with player planes. With player planes is that sometimes there are no planes to handle, right? Because you don't control when the other player plays their game. Depending upon who you play with, most of the players will play at least once every day or once every other day or kind of semi-frequently, but you have no control over other players, right? So that's the bad part about it, which is why I have the non-player planes in there, so that way I always have a set amount of planes to handle. And then I have my own fleet planes. In the beginning, when I have my own fleet planes, when I'm assigning them to different airports, I'm usually assigning them to playable airports, but I'm not assigning them to a specific player. And I'm doing that because those planes they're still in your fleet, but they will return. They will always return. So that's the cool thing, is that they will always return. So it's just like a non-player plane, where if you send it out to, let's say I send out from LHR to Leipzig, and it takes 47 minutes round trip, 50 minutes round trip, then that plane will always come back in about 50 minutes, even if it's going to a player airport. So that's really nice about that. And then once I max out the capacity in those airports, then you could start, sending to other players. Another cool thing about sending your fleet planes to playable airports is that it doesn't cost you wallers to send a contract to that airport. Even if you're sending it to a non-specific player, it doesn't cost you wallers, where all the other map destinations, you have to buy the contract with wallers as well. So it gets a little bit more expensive. Some of the airports can be like 13,000 wallers. But most of the airports that are nearby that you'd probably want to send to are like 2,000 wallers. But in those early levels, you want to use the wallers towards buying more stands and buying more equipment, so that way you can handle more planes at once. So yeah, Innsbruck's kind of tough, but you'll have to just kind of grind it out. Play multiple times per day if you can. Get a few player contracts. Get some planes into your fleet. I'm not sure how much you're enjoying World Airports, but you can also buy the Premium Pass. The Premium Pass will get you some planes in your fleet right away, which will also help you level up. The Premium Pass will give you some handling crew, which means that you can handle more planes at once. The Premium Pass will give you wallers, and wallers are super useful in those early levels because it's just a nice little bonus that you get in those early levels. And even if you're not in an early level, it'll just allow you to buy more planes if you have planes unlocked. There's so much benefit to the Premium Pass. But I know I'm a little cautious about always recommending it at Innsbruck, because I know some players, right? If you're at Innsbruck, that means you just started playing the game, right? Most of the times. And I want you to make a decision for yourself if you like World of Airports or not. Not every game is for every player, right? For every person. So you gotta play the game, see if you like it or not. And in the beginning, it's hard to work your way up so that way you can get to the free gold airplanes. So it's gonna feel like it's a grind. But then as you start like leveling up your airports, you start unlocking more airports, you unlock more things, then it becomes easier and easier to get, you know, the 10,000 silver planes, so that way you can get your 10 gold planes for free every single week. Alfie said we should be able to change our registration on a plane and make it like real life. That would, well, you can do that with non-fleet airplanes. You can do that, and I guess non-player airplanes. You can change the registration for silver planes. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about allowing that for fleet airplanes. I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I agree. Carolina Santiago, what's up, bro? Wants one of my planes at SCL. Yeah, so sign up right now. I think you are signed up, but sign up right now for the Phat Airlines email newsletter. Go to phatairlines.com, and you know, after stream today, I'm gonna send out my first batch of emails. I usually send them out in like batches of 200, because that way I don't get overwhelmed with people responding, and my server doesn't get overwhelmed, right? So yeah, we'll send them out in batches of 200. So if you don't get it immediately after stream, don't worry, it's coming. But we're gonna have I already have the email ready to go. I have the contract ready to go. I have like 20 of these planes already purchased at my GRU, and a few of them are already on the ground too. So I'm gonna have about I'm gonna have an E295 to go to SCL and to St. Martin as well. I think it could go to both of those airports. So we're gonna allow both of those airports to receive. So yeah, with non-player airplanes, you can go into the contract card here, and you can change the flight number for 10 silver planes. So you can do that, but I don't know how I feel about doing it for player planes. DJ Bay says, for Innsbruck, find a partner at IAD who can send an A21NX daily. That's actually really good advice too. Yep. There's a lot of players who play Washington daily, so if you could find somebody who could send you an A321NX, that would probably help you out a lot. Yep. Because that gives you a lot of revenue, right? It gives you a lot of money, especially for a seaplane, right? It gives you a lot of money for a seaplane. And then on top of that, if you could find a daily player, that's going to help you out. I think though the trip is like a 3-hour round, or 3-hour round trip. I forget what Washington to Innsbruck is, but that's the only, I guess, bad part. But even just playing one time per day means that in 10 days you're going to finish that contract. Raptor says, has my A343 landed yet? I don't think so. I don't think I've seen it. I don't think I've handled it yet. Let's look at the 2D map here. I just want to see how long my queues are getting. I'm actually been on top of my queue today, which is pretty impressive. I'm impressed with myself. Usually I let this queue get out of control, and then I have to turn on the departure manager. Dyrock said it would be really nice if you could add the flag of the country where the plane is registered. Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, I saw the initial report released about the crash in India, the plane crash. Yo, mates move. I don't think I said hi to you. I saw your message earlier, and my bad, man. Now you're lurking, so you probably didn't even hear this. What's up, AP Creations? What's up, Bennett Miller? Bennett says, or asked, I think, if I buy a premium pass at level 70 or something, do I still get all the items? Yes, you do. That's another cool part, is like you get all those items instantly. So if I were just to unlock the premium pass right now at level 78, I would get all these planes, I would get all these silver planes, I would get the livery, I would get all the wallers, I would get all the handling crew, I would get everything from that bottom pass instantly available for me to claim. So yeah, you definitely get everything. It's not like you have to buy it at level 0. No, it doesn't matter what level you buy it at, you'll get all the rewards. Yo, what's up, Mike? What's up, Ultra? Greetings from Belgium. Nice. What's up, Nayo Amoroto? I am from New Jersey, man. Greetings from New Jersey. Republic Stores here. What's up, dude? Yo, Daniel Zulkifli. I saw you put in an L plane contract, but I don't see an L plane coming in. I know you sent that 33 minutes ago. Still waiting for your L plane to come into my LHR. My username is Phat Empire. Bob King, thanks for the alert. But yeah, back to the SCL call sign competition. I would love to hear your guys' ideas, because we're gonna be setting up I'm gonna put like a video announcement. It's gonna be an email announcement, a Discord announcement. We're gonna announce it everywhere that we're hosting a call sign competition at SCL. You guys can start buying planes today. It's not like you have to it's not like I can tell when you bought the plane, right? And that's why I'm focusing on newer airports when it comes to call sign competitions, because I can't control what planes you already have, and I want to encourage, just playing World of Airports with my competitions. So yeah, what the call sign competition, instead of having just like 3, like a first place, second place, third place, for this call sign competition, I want to have what do I want to have? I want to have 5 winners, and the 5 winners are going to be based off of 5 different categories. So I'm asking you guys, what kind of categories would you like to see when it comes to the call sign competition? So one of the categories I think we're definitely going to have is an aviation category. So that means you can have like an airport name as like your call sign, a World of Airports related term as your call sign. I think that's going to be one category. Another category could be something like names, right? You could have like people names. SCL, the call signs at SCL begin with the letter CC and then a dash, right? So you can probably make some cool things come up with that as well. Another thing that I liked was what was it? Acronyms, common acronyms, government. This one came from Hammy. Technology acronyms, medical acronyms, stuff like that. We could do people, but what other categories do you think would be cool, or that you could maybe feel like you have a chance with when it comes to the call sign competitions? But yeah, we're gonna have 5 winners, and I know at the very least the winners are gonna get VIP on Phat Airlines Discord. Okay, so whoever wins, all 5 winners, you're gonna at the very least get VIP. VIP means that you have access to a special contract board, a special chat room, and you'll also have the ability to start playing giveaways. So that way, that's one cool thing we have on the Phat Airlines Discord, is we have airplane giveaways. So VIPs have the capability of giving away airplanes to anybody who enters, and that's one thing that I really love about it, is that everybody who enters a giveaway has the same chances of winning the giveaway. So especially if you're a newer player and you're finding it hard it's taking a while for people to send you a contract, that's one way to kind of establish yourself as a good contract partner, is by being lucky and winning some giveaways. But it's not really always about being lucky. Sometimes you just got to enter a lot of giveaways, and then you're going to win a few. This is what I end up seeing. But yeah, I really like our giveaways. What airport would I like to see in the future? I really don't have like too many preferences. I'm not well traveled, so it's not like I know about a lot of airports. I'm not like I've been to a lot of airports. So it's like for me, I would have never came up with SCL. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm gonna have a heavy bias towards U.S. airports, the same way like most of you guys have a bias towards your own home country airports. So for me, I really don't have like a preference when it comes to what the next airport is going to be. As far as like, I guess in the map, when it comes to the map, I might have a preference, right? Because like maybe something in Canada, but I know eventually we're most likely going to get Anchorage, right? So that's kind of cover the north end, but maybe something in Canada would be cool. Maybe something in Central America, or the north part of South America. You know, of course, Africa is missing an airport, but are there really a lot of airports in Africa that can be sufficient? You know, do we really want a South African airport that's going to be like that you can't send any B or C planes to? You know, we have Sydney. I know it's not a dot on here, but that's because no plane can reach Sydney from LHR. You know, we're not going to see Russia airport for a while until the war is over. But, you know, maybe Russia or China, or like this area, maybe even India. But something up here would be pretty cool. And then, you know, maybe Western Australia, so that way we can get like a nice connection between Sydney, which is East Australia, and West Australia. You know, don't forget Antarctica. Antarctica would have to be something it would be interesting. That'd probably be the slowest airport in the game. There's so many VIPs. Yeah, I appreciate all the support from everybody, man. Flamingo said I could add more. That's funny. IST or AYT in Turkey might be good. So I mean, when it comes to like European airports, I think what I would like to see is maybe something like in France or Spain, right? Or even Portugal, something like around over here. And then like Eastern, you know, Ukraine would be pretty interesting. Up here, you know, Norway, Sweden, Finland would be pretty interesting. And then of course you got over here, right? But that would be kind of close to Bari. Turkey, yeah, Turkey would be pretty cool. Egypt, Saudi Arabia. Yeah, I think US could use something like in the middle here. Like what airport in the middle of the US would be interesting enough to put in there? I don't know. AP Creation says, "Hey Fat, I wanted to know that how can I send any player me contracts?" So when you have a plane in your own fleet, that's the only way you could send other player contracts. Once you have a plane in your fleet that you can send other player contracts, once that plane lands on and it gets to the stand, then it's going to give you an option to assign that plane a contract. Once you get to assign a contract, you're going to be taken to the map here, and depending upon how your plane is configured, it'll show you all the airports your plane can go to. You know, the blue ones are playable, the gray ones are others, right? So it'll show you a map of where all the airports that plane, based on how it's currently configured, can go to. You can always go back into your fleet menu here. Actually, let me show you, because I got at least one plane that's waiting. But I'm not going to show you the whole process because we're not getting that plane to land. Actually, I can show you this process. I don't, Monica, are you playing Leipzig still? But if you are, we can always just send that back to you. But yeah, well, I'll show you what that looks like. So right, this is a cargo plane, so there's no configuration on cargo, but you go right here, and usually like for passenger planes, you have a configuration for business class, and then for first class for the larger planes. But then you go right here, and when a plane lands at your gate, you're gonna have the option to assign a contract, right? So you'll see the map here. It shows you all the planes, all the airports that your plane can go to, all over. So when you go to a non-playable airport, right, it costs 5,500 for that airport. It costs 3,000 for this airport. But if you go to a player airport, which is in blue, there's no cost to it, and you hit find connection, and you can only send a plane to another player by picking a playable airport. Okay, it's going to ask you, do you know a specific player? If you say yes, you just type in that player's name, and then it's going to send them the request. If you hit no, it's going to tell you what that excuse me, it's going to tell you what that looks like, right? So it doesn't cost you any wallers, which is cool, but you not only do you need a contract slot at your airport, but you also need a capacity over here. So if you look right here where it says contract capacity, each airport has its own contract capacity, right? So at Leipzig, for example, you can only send 2 passenger planes from LHR to Leipzig on not assigned to a specific player, and you can send 5 cargo planes from LHR to Leipzig without a player name. If you have a player name in there, that doesn't count towards your capacity. But you go ahead and you can hit no, and then you can hit select here, and boom, now your contract has been started with the player. If you typed in the player name, or in this case I did a random arrival, just a regular contract, and now this contract is going to a random arrival. So when people once this plane takes off, then that plane was going to head over to Leipzig, and then when people go in here and hit the random player arrival, they have an opportunity to receive your plane at that same moment. So that is how you send a player contract. Nika says, I'm still playing on my airports. You're just a little bit behind due to your holiday. Oh, gotcha. Well, I'm gonna have to cancel this contract. Can't cancel it though until I think until it takes off. What's up, little snow yak? Ultra says, I don't know how many VIPs there are because of the list of offline users in public. Yeah, that happens on Discord automatically. Once your Discord server grows beyond a certain number of members, it just automatically hides all the offline members. I kind of wish that wasn't the case, but I get why it is. So it wasn't something that I did. Not that you were blaming me or anything either, but just letting you know. Boy Tando's been to Innsbruck today, had lunch under the landing path, but not many planes came. That sounds like Innsbruck for sure, right? That's pretty cool though. One of my dreams, and I'm gonna do this in like maybe, well, if World of Airports is still updating in 5 years, definitely within 5 years, like before 2030, I want to be able to go. I want to spend maybe like 2 weeks. This is gonna be tough though, because it's gonna be expensive and it's gonna be time consuming, and I got a family. But one of the things that's like my goals is I would love to travel more, right? And it's like I love flying, I love traveling, but it's kind of tough sometimes. And I kind of made it like my own personal goal to like visit, different places around the world. But I always like to have a purpose when it comes to visiting the different places in the world, right? So like one of the things that I did, a couple of years, 5 years ago, was actually even before 5 years, but let's say 5 years ago, was I I'm a soccer fan of Major League Soccer in the U.S., and in particular of New York City Football Club, right? So I have season tickets to New York City Football Club. I have, and as a result, the club gives us discounted away tickets, and they have ever since the beginning, which is pretty cool. So the discounted away tickets gave me a reason to just go back and watch, you know, more and more games, away games as well. Not only home games, but away games. And that gave me a purpose for like traveling, right? So we went to like Denver, we went to San Francisco, or technically San Jose is the team, but we went to San Francisco, we went to Montreal, and then we stopped. And then this past year I went to Atlanta, and I went to an Atlanta game versus NYCFC. But yet, you know, it's always cool to have a purpose when I'm traveling, right? So in the past, it was traveling domestically, and I guess to Canada as well. So that way we can go watch soccer games. But now with World of Airports, one of my goals is I would love to be able to travel to every single airport that's in World of Airports. And I know that's going to be quite a trip, right? Because it's all over the world. I know I've seen other like YouTubers do something similar, but they also have much larger channels than I do. But it's something I think would be cool. Make a nice little, I guess, trip and vacation out of it in a way. You know, do some sightseeing while we're there. Not just like, you know, not just visit the airport, but we would spend a decent amount of time in the airport, you know, seeing how it looks in real life compared to like how it looks like in World of Airports. But yeah, that's one of my goals. I always like to have like something that that is like a mission, you know, when I'm traveling, you know, unless it's for vacation. For vacation, I usually just like my vacations are all about just relaxing and chilling. But like when I have a purpose, it makes it more fun too. Can't you change that in settings? I don't think so, bro. Do that, or I haven't seen the setting. If you know, like, there's a help document where I could find that setting, then I can definitely turn it back on. But I know once we hit that threshold, I looked, maybe, you know, maybe I haven't looked for it recently either. But let me know if you know where it is. Let me create a server and see real quick. Well, yeah, good luck creating a server right now and getting to that threshold where you're gonna have enough members where now the offline list is hidden. It's not a setting that you could just turn on and off. It's because you have too many members in your server, so they Discord will automatically just not show offline members. It's not something you'll notice on a small server or a new server. What's the most profitable plane? I don't really know. I need to start looking at these spreadsheets, and that's another reason why I want to get back into my tutorial videos, because like there's so many great like spreadsheets out there and like data and information about the game out there, but I don't want to go through a spreadsheet on stream. I think that's boring. If I was in your seats, I wouldn't want to be watching a spreadsheet, you know, not at all. So, and one of the things I do when I'm streaming is I try to put myself in your chairs. You know, what would I enjoy watching? What would I enjoy doing? That's why I always try to like at least get a plane in view, but I'm not the greatest at that. I'm trying to play World of Airports the way I normally play too, while also trying to keep it interesting for you guys who are watching. Anyways, what's the most profitable plane? That is another like video that I need to make, right? And a website page, a tutorial, all of that, because like it's not just about what's the most profitable plane, but it's also about what plane can get you to the most destinations, right? So actually, no, we could keep it maybe three, like have multiple separate videos. This is the most profitable, you know, F plane. This is the most profitable E plane, and just keep updating it from there. But yeah, I want to. One of my goals is to create more tutorial videos, and the tutorial videos are going to go over more of the questions like that, you know, common questions that people ask and want to know the answer to, that might, you know, might not know about the spreadsheet. And I could share the, you know, the spreadsheet. I think, I forget who made it. I think it was Geo, but I'm not sure. But I know in my experience, just from playing, you know, it looks like, you know, the A388 makes a good amount of money. The B-77W makes a good amount of money. Actually, most of the Boeing planes make some good money. You know, no matter what size they are. You know, I haven't really played with the 748 too much lately. They just updated the visuals on that, so it's probably going to have a bigger place in my fleet now. But until I start buying more, we're going to have to wait and see. But a lot of the Boeing planes tend to be pretty all right. The Airbus planes, you know, like the D and E, actually, the D Airbus planes are not that great. I mean, they fill a void, especially in pricing. So like they're great. I mean, and they're gonna make you profit, but they're not gonna make you super massive profits, right? And then you have some of the, like the A35K and the A359. Those are really good planes too. I'm not sure what their profitability is like though. Voitana said, nope, you can hide offline while under 1,000. Over 1,000, you have to. Gotcha. Yep. You bought a Man City dress? I don't know what well, I know what a dress means to me. What's a Man City dress? When I hear dress, I think of like a woman wearing like a long skirt. Hockey fan says, I do not believe one. Oh, yeah, cool. I'm gonna read this. Hockey fan says, I do not believe one specific plane is most profitable as it's relative to the airport and the route it flies to, as well as seat configuration. Oh, good answer. Good answer. Great answer. Great answer. How's the 2D map looking? All right, we're starting to get a little backed up over here at the departure runway, but not incredibly backed up, so it's not terrible. Cancel that contract. You did good to us, Malaysia Airways. Voitana said most return on investment is the A21N. Return on investment with some real use is the A21NX, and best profit by just pure money is the A388 of the normally accessible planes. Thank you for that. DJ Bay says B748 from IAD to SCL is pretty nice for Wallers and silver planes. Nice. Welcome back, made to move. Oh, you bought a jersey. Okay, gotcha. In check, it's dress, and I don't change it. Gotcha. Okay. See, good thing I didn't make assumptions. I'm like, man, this guy is wearing women's clothes. Nope. I went, all right, maybe I just don't understand what the word means. I know what Man City is. Yeah. I know Man City. They're the same. That club owns New York City Football Club too. That looks like IRL waiting at LHR, does it? That's another thing too. LHR is going to be expensive to fly to, at least from the US. I hear, like, what I hear from frequent international travelers is to like fly to another airport and then fly like regional or locally to LHR might be the way to go. We'll have to see. But yeah, it is in my plan to like go visit the world of airports. I should probably just start with like the US ones and St. Martin. You know, start with those four airports. You know, go to Washington, go to New Orleans, go to San Diego, go to St. Martin. But I would love to like just make it like maybe like a 2-week ordeal or a 3-week ordeal. I don't know. A lot of flying too. It would be a lot of hours. What's up? LJ says, hey mate, just started WOA and I made a mistake starting on Sydney Airport as I'm from Australia. Well, I don't know if that's a mistake. Let me keep reading though. Just started again at Innsbruck and I'm wondering why I don't get rewards for every flight that departs. So in the old, in the 1.0 version or 1.5, in the version 1 of the game, you used to get rewards for every handling of the plane, but now in World of Airports you have a contract, right? So some planes have a contract of 1, and then some planes have a contract up to 10. So depending upon where your plane is at the contract on the tiers is when your rewards will look like. So you can click on the eye over here. If you click on the eye, if you click on the eye and you go to rewards, you'll see what the rewards look like. So when you're at tier 1, you only have to handle the plane once to get the rewards. When you're at tier 2, you have to handle the plane twice to get the rewards, right? And then as you keep leveling up, because if you finish in the green, then you have the option to do a contract upgrade, which you should always do. I don't think you have an option anymore to not upgrade, but you always upgrade your tier, because when you upgrade your tier, you're going to get better rewards. You're going to get more silver planes and more XP, especially for the same amount of planes that you're handling, right? So in tier 3, you're handling 3 planes for 24 silver planes and 4 XP, whereas if you were to handle 3 airplanes one time on tier 1, you would only get 12 XP or 12 silver planes and 3 XP. So you're always better off upgrading your tier. And not only that, but you just keep going all the way up to tier 10. Once you're at tier 10, you're going to get the maximum rewards. And why does it keep going to the left? Anyways, once you're at tier 10, you're going to get the maximum rewards available for that plane. But when you start a new contract with a player, or you send a contract to a player contracts will always start at tier 10. There's no tier 1 with player contracts unless you're doing a random arrival, but that's not really a player contract. That's just a random arrival. But you're always going to start off at tier 10 when it comes to player contracts. So it's going to take 10 handlings before you get the rewards, but you're also going to get the maximum reward for that plane and for that route. So that's what's happening there. I completely understand wanting to unlock the airport that's like your home airport. So I wouldn't, Sydney is a different airport. Playing Innsbruck's a good idea because you're going to get the hang of the game. You're going to understand how it works, but even just being here might help you out. If you have any questions, let us know. Join the Phat Airlines Discord because we have a lot of active players there, including myself, that can help answer questions as well. But I think that answers everything. Yeah, and the cool thing about like you having Innsbruck and Sydney is that you get to work on both sides of unlocking airports, right? So you get to unlock Innsbruck. Like once you max out Innsbruck, or not max out, but once you level up Innsbruck, you get to unlock Bari and then Prague, IAD, NGO, and Muscat. You just keep going down the list. But now since you're at Sydney, once you max out Sydney, or reach the level to unlock the next airport, then you get BKK and you get to keep working down the list that way. So that's the cool thing about World of Airports is you can unlock all the airports for free as well. SCL role is missing for Discord. Gotcha. I thought, I added the tags on the forum and I didn't add the role. Gotcha. Thank you. What's up, TK? Thank you for the heads up. TK says, I'm late. I'm not getting a notification from Twitch. I'll activate the Discord notification. Yeah, sometimes Twitch and YouTube be like that. That's why a lot of people on Discord is usually good at delivering notifications. The only time Discord is kind of bad at delivering notifications is if you have Discord open on your desktop or like on your laptop, and you don't close it out, then you're not going to get notifications from Discord because it thinks you're active on your computer. But otherwise, Discord is really, really good at that. LJ said, I see now. It makes more sense now. Awesome. I'm glad to help, bro. My toasted sandwich has this fat accept requested player connections. So now on my stream only account, which is the account that you see here on the screen, you have to essentially purchase your you have to purchase your contract. You purchase your contract using Phat coins. So under the Twitch chat, there's this little like icon with my face on it, my avatar, and you can use that to purchase a contract. You purchase like an S plane contract, an M plane contract, L or X, and then I will accept your contract request. But if you want to play with an active account, one that plays more than 1 times per week, and you don't want to pay any Phat coins or anything like that, you're more than allowed. You're encouraged to send me a contract request to my main account. My main account is the Phat Rican, ThePhatrican, and my main account, I pretty much accept contracts all day, every day, almost every single airport. There are 2 airports I don't accept contracts at, and that's Innsbruck and Bari, because I don't really play those airports at all. While all the other airports I will play. I try to play at least once a week, but there are some airports that I play every single day. So I play LHR every single day. I play BKK. I play IAD. And right now I'm also playing SCL every single day. So if you want to send me a contract request to any of those 4 airports, those are your best bets to get like a daily handling from me. If you send me a contract request to some of the other airports, you might not get daily handling. But I will try my best to play every single airport as much as possible. Although I have been really avoiding Sydney a lot. Will Voa add private jets? Yeah. So they're gonna be adding business jets, BJs, and PJs, private jets. Yep. Business jets and general aviation. Sorry. So we're gonna get business jets and GA. We don't have a timeline on that though. We haven't been given a timeline when to expect that or anything like that. So we don't know when that's gonna come out. What's up, Rick Rashid? LHR only one arrival runway is paying too. In a way, yes, but LHR also has so many stands that it kind of makes up for it. But when you're actively playing like I am right now, the airport stays pretty empty. What I like to do with LHR is an airport that I leave on overnight. And that's because I have a ton of silver planes on my main account. I have like 3.7 million on my main account right now, silver planes. So what I do is before I go to bed most nights, I will go down here to the tower manager and I'll activate all. I even do high speed, but I activate all the tower managers for 2 hours. That way I can get a bunch of planes landed at my LHR. A bunch of planes will be on the ground, and then essentially when I come back in the morning and I play LHR, there's like 190 planes on the ground. There's still a bunch of planes that need to land, but there's no stands available, right? So they can't land. And then as I'm handling those planes, then the planes keep landing, planes keep taking off, and then there's too many planes for takeoff. And then eventually I have to go back to main menu, so that way they all disappear. But yeah, that's just LHR is pretty cool though. I think it's a great airport for me to AFK overnight. So I'm kind of concerned about like the emergencies that they're going to be adding in the game, how that's going to affect my AFK, my away from keyboard gameplay at certain airports. But I'm sure we'll figure out a way. Some of the emergencies they're going to be introducing are like medical emergencies on airplanes and technical assistance for airplanes. No crashes, nothing like that. World of Airports is completely against that. You're never going to see any kind of crash in the game. They want something that they want to make sure they're building up the aviation community, not breaking it down. Flamingo says Sydney's fun with Concords. I need to probably get more Concords at my Sydney. Turn your status to online or idle to then get the pop-up notifications if you're online on Discord. Like I said, I think that was one reason for the A class of planes. Probably, yeah. That makes sense, actually, yeah. You know what I noticed the other day at St. Martin? I don't have St. Martin on this account, but at St. Martin, there's a stand called C1 that you can't even unlock. This probably was there for a while. I just never noticed it. LJ says, you don't get penalized for planes on the taxiway waiting to take off. No, so the timers for your plane, or not your planes, the timers for planes only begin when you begin handling it. So there's once, like for that plane landing or waiting to land or taxiing to their stand, there's no timer. There's no timer while that plane is at its gate. So like these planes over here, this plane right here from Easy Nuts, this can stay here for days and I won't get penalized. Now, the other player might cancel his contract if I don't handle it for days, right? But in theory, I could leave this here forever. As a matter of fact, I actually have a couple, or I used to have a couple of Christmas planes from 2023 at Innsbruck, still at my Innsbruck, in 2025. So there's no rush to land planes. There's no rush to get them to their stand. There's no rush to get them to leave as well. You know, once they push back, there's no rush to really get them to push back. And there's no rush to get them to depart. The only rush that there might be to get them to depart is that these airplanes don't technically show up as a departed plane until they take off. So if you look here, right, we're not going to see, what is this? David Elio, a 752F going to Leipzig, I'm guessing. Yeah, it's a Leipzig, right? So if we look at the radar here, let's look at towards, do we have a 752 from David Elio going to Leipzig? No, there's no 752 from David Elio going to Leipzig. But now, once I hit the takeoff button, now it's going to show up on the radar once it takes off. There's a little bit of delay because it has a little pause. But once it takes off, it's going to show up on the radar. And then it's going to show up, let's see, I think we have to wait for it to get off the ground, right? Where are you? So this is not necessarily a penalty, but it is something you have to keep an eye out on because it could delay, you know, back and forth handling between players. I'm not sure why this plane didn't show up. Maybe the plane has been waiting for a while, because that's another thing is when these planes are waiting for a long time for takeoff, sometimes there is a timer, because if these planes don't get to take off in I think it's like 5 to 10 minutes, then what'll happen is it'll automatically just begin its takeoff process on the radar at least. So this plane might already be at Leipzig for all I know. So it might have been a bad example, but either way, it doesn't really matter. These planes aren't on any kind of timer that affects you directly. It might affect the other player from getting the plane on a quick time frame, but it doesn't affect you directly. It's only the planes that are waiting for handling. So a plane like this A388 that's waiting for handling, that's where you have this estimated timer and the remaining timer. You want to make sure you're finishing your planes under the remaining timer. Is Sydney that bad? Well, I know they're also going to be making an update to Sydney in the I think in the near future. So I think the biggest problem I have with Sydney is like the same problem I used to have with Nagoya, is that like a lot of the medium planes and all the small planes can't really go to another player. So it kind of like forces. It almost feels like I'm forced to play the larger planes. And then because of the way Sydney's laid out, when I'm playing with only larger planes and not a lot of medium planes, then there's like it almost feels like I'm playing a one runway airport, because all the airplanes that are on the right side of the airport, all the airplanes land on one single runway, but the airplanes that are parked on the right side of that runway take off or depart using the right runway. I forget what numbers they are, but so that makes it kind of feel like almost a one runway airport, even though there are two. World of Airports did mention in their one of their dev blogs that there is an update coming to Sydney. Not sure what that looks like or what that really means, but hopefully they make a little bit of improvements there. But yeah, in the early levels at Sydney, you don't even notice like the backup, because like you don't have like I didn't have a lot of like larger planes coming all at once, at least. But over some time, then it kind of, yo, thank you for the super chat, bro. Thank you for that, Javel. But yeah, at Sydney in the beginning levels, right, you're handling a bunch of small and medium planes, so it always felt like a two runway airport. But once you start handling a lot more larger planes, then it feels more like a one runway airport. That's a cool idea, Toasted Sandwich. Says, I hope they add a setting to turn emergencies off. That'd be pretty cool. What would be the best thing to spend silver planes in the tower in Innsbruck? At Innsbruck, you could really do fine. I mean, at almost all airports, you can do a great job with just the approach manager on. If you don't have a ton of silver planes, you could just turn the approach manager on, keep it at the lowest speed setting, and just manually depart planes, manually push back planes, and manually assign stands. And you should do pretty fine with that. That's usually how I play Innsbruck, even on my main account. And hardest part though is that you're gonna have to make sure you're telling planes to take off and push back. So if you get really backed up, then you might want to turn on the departure manager. But I don't know how busy your Innsbruck is, but if it's not that busy, you should be able to do it yourself. If they update Sydney, will they fix the cars driving? I think they will, yeah. Yeah, the only way to get small, medium planes in Sydney that can go to other players is if they add another Australian airport. They add one in New Zealand. Yep, that's why I was saying like Western Australia would be a cool airport to see just for that reason. But I know they have other continents that they have to, they have other continents they have to reach, like Africa, right? And maybe like yeah. LHR has some weird ground textures. I think anytime you go beyond where the airport itself is, yeah, you're gonna get some weirdness. Like every single stand is occupied, but we got no planes on the ground. I'm just too fast at handling them. Don't airlines pay once the door is closed? Isn't that how it works? So you guys in chat are talking about, you know, how it would stink to be a pilot and there's traffic and you're not able to take off. But well, maybe that's just the flight attendants, maybe not the pilots. But I would think that the pilots, well, I would think that they should get paid as soon as they board the plane, because that's when they're doing they're doing work, right? But I mean, they have a union, so the union is okay with them working for free, then so be it. Maybe it's because they get like a really nice per diem and stuff like that. But I thought, and I think this is for flight attendants, I'm not sure if it's for pilots, but I thought that the staff, they get paid once the doors are closed. That's when like their timers begin. But I'm not sure. I know that's for flight attendants. I'm pretty sure that's for flight attendants. I'm not sure if pilots are different. That's for cabin crew. Gotcha. Yeah, I think they should get paid as soon as their shift starts. Like, how are you not going to pay somebody who has to inspect the entire plane? Like, all of that is for free. But hey, they have a union. Most of them have a union. So, that's what they negotiated for, you know. But I don't agree with it. I would want to get paid for the entire time work. I mean, I don't know. Al's Gaming says, "Hey Phat, what's up? Can you suggest me some tips for San Diego and GRU?" San Diego is like a tougher airport. You really want to get a lot of seaplanes because that's what you have the stands for. The cool thing is now San Diego, you can get seaplanes from MSY, from IAD, and from St. Martin SXM. So there's a lot of airports you can get seaplanes from now. Whereas like when San Diego first came out, there was only IAD, right? And for a while, it was only IAD. Now, you're not going to get too many seaplanes from St. Martin, because St. Martin's more of a B plane airport. But you want to get a lot of those, but you also don't want to ignore the larger plane sizes, because the larger plane sizes are what's going to make you money and get you a lot of the XP, to like those XP jumps. So you just want to like have a mixture of probably like 60% B planes, and then maybe another 40% of the other sizes. Maybe my mixture is a little wrong, but you want to have a good mix, so that way you're always landing planes. Because if you're only waiting for E and F planes to land, then it's going to be a horrible time at San Diego. At GRU, my advice would be probably see if you can manually assign planes instead of using a delivery manager. That's what I did in that airport, and it helped me out a lot, because then I didn't have to I wasn't blocking, my stands weren't being blocked by smaller size planes. So another thing at GRU, you benefit a lot from the ground manager, because the ground manager also manages runway crossings. So that's going to be super helpful at GRU, because all your planes that are landing at GRU have to cross a runway in order to get to their stand. So you have to pay attention, or just let the ground manager do it for you, and then it's a lot easier. And that's what I would recommend there. GRU is going to be pretty cool too now, because it does benefit from a lot of C-class planes, and you can get a lot of seaplanes from SCL now. So I think that's going to be pretty interesting. There are a lot of like larger plane stands too, so that's very helpful. So you can really play a lot of different ways at GRU. That's true, Mike. A pilot's job does start before they board. They get flight planning before they board. Yeah, they usually, yep, they have to, like, they have like their pilot's lounge that they're doing like their research. They're looking at the weather, making sure their flight plan, their flight path is good to go. That is very true. That's a good point, Hidden. Hidden says it depends on the country that you're working with. Some airlines have a bad contract, some have really good ones. I wonder how it works if you're doing like 20-minute flights all day. That's true. Sounds much worse than one single long haul. That's a lot of landings, right? Pilots also prepare the weather data before the flight. That is true, QJ. What's up, So46? You're buying CAI contracts at SCL, bro, channels? Why do that? Make a post on the contract board, and I'm sure plenty of people would send you some seaplanes. Al said, yeah, I feel like I've settled an LHR for over a year now, and you developed it pretty well. You didn't play any other airports for a year. That's why you're kind of confused on how to start a new airport. Dude, every time starting a new airport is just so slow. Especially when like going from like a developed LHR and then switching to a brand new airport, it just feels incredibly slow. And it is slow. Even it was even slow for me at SCL, the brand new SCL, when even though I bought 1 million Wallers using gold planes, it was very, very slow in the beginning, because like you're still waiting for the planes to come in. You have to buy the equipment. Like everything is just super slow. You don't have all the handling crew from leveling up or from unlocking all the stands. So yeah, it's just very slow. It's a different play style in the beginning than it is at the end. At the end, you're just kind of like auto clicking. In the beginning, you're kind of like strategizing. Tomas is excited for the new aircraft customization system. Man, me too. I can't wait. I think it's going to open up so much creativity. I'm excited to see people's creativity in particular. It's the ones from the contract roll? Oh, okay, that's fine. I have the same thing then, bro channels. I have to stick to the bit, gotcha. So46 says, I'm excited about the scheduling system. Can you explain a little bit? So, there's not a lot of information about it, right? So we don't really know how it's going to work. Let me see if I can bring it up. I'll bring it up. Let's see. We're going to go to... No, it's not in support and help. It's in dev blog. Dev blog, new features, the road ahead. Let's go to the top. So we got the scheduling system that we're asking about, right? So we're going to go look at the original image, right? So we have 4 different images here, and it's all using placeholder data, right? A 738 is not a cargo plane, and it's not an E-plane, and it's not coming from that airport, you know? It's just not that. This is all placeholder data. You know, there's not only G10 stands at all the airports. Placeholder data, right? There's not 2 Terminal 2s in the airports. Placeholder data. But I mean, we can kind of make some inferences here. You know, is this so when the arrival manager or the delivery? I feel like this is going to be like a sub menu of the delivery manager. This is the way I look at it. The delivery manager is going to open up this scheduling system and then it's going to allow you to kind of pre-place different planes into different slots. So once this plane is done, which can take up to 30 minutes, then this plane will land next, and then so on and so forth into different stands, right? So that way you have a plane already established to land at a certain gate ahead of time. That way the delivery and the approach manager can work together and get the planes landed. Then we have this next picture over here, which really shows, you know, what the handling time is. A planner, right? We're in the planner now, not the schedule, we're on the planner. So you can see, I think this is like what the actual handling time might be with full handling crew, and then this is the handling time you might need to finish it within, so that way you're finishing the plane on time. I don't know for sure, because like I said, this is all placeholder information, so it's hard to determine what this logo means and what this logo means. But my best guess is, if you had full handling crew, this plane would be done in 15 minutes, and if this was what's the timer remaining on the plane in order to just make sure you're finishing it in the green. And then you can see which stands are active, right? They have check marks. I'm not sure exactly what the check marks mean, but if we look at the next image right here, you can see on the little arrow, you have the option to turn on and off stands. And then you hit the edit button, and then you get this little pop-up that lets you choose which aircraft sizes are allowed to use the stands. So you also have an auto assign button, so you can automatically assign, so you don't have to manually, you know, like click and drag planes onto the onto your schedule. But like I said, we don't have this is the only information we really have about it is this image. We also know that they're working on it, right? But the image has placeholder data, which also makes it hard to really say it's going to work like this for sure. But just thinking about how World Airports works, that's like my assumption. But my assumption is probably not even correct. Is that a teaser for Johannesburg Airport? Nah, not at all, bro. Every single one of the screenshots that they've ever shared that has placeholder data has that airport as the placeholder. What do you think of the new forum look? It's decent, I guess, but you have to click into each thread to see whether there are new posts or comments. You don't have to click on each thread. This tells me right here, there's 21 new comments that I haven't read. There's 35 new comments I haven't read. Oh, I mean, you got to click on the category, I guess. But you also have this new option. You have the unread option. I mean, I've seen this type of forum being used in other places, so I'm kind of indifferent. I've used it before. Wonder what those icons mean next to the plane in the planner tab. Let me see what you're talking about. Those icons mean next to the plane. Oh yeah, you're talking about this one? Or hold on, let's go to the right here. Yeah, those icons. Yeah, I got my assumptions on it, but it might be wrong. Yo, bro, channels, your mom got you 300 gold planes? Nice. I saw that look. Well, my forehead's disappearing. Do you see that? Look, my forehead's disappearing. Al said, absolutely, from 500 planes to 5 planes is hard. Yeah. Yeah, you got that right. So Al was saying before how, you know, switching to a new airport because they were playing LHR. So like, yeah, switching from handling 1,000 planes to only like having 5 at a time is like really different. So should you buy some E and F using silver planes? Nah, I would go into the contract board. Well, first off, do you even have an E or F stand unlocked? Right? Remember, now when you're unlocking stands, you have to unlock all of the lower sizes that are available in that stand before you can unlock the bigger size, right? So if you want to unlock an F stand, and that F stand is also able to handle A planes, then you have to buy A, B, C, D, and E in order to also buy the F. You can do it all at once, or you can do it one at a time, whatever works better for you, but there's no discount for buying it all at once, right? So you do have to buy all the stands, and that can cost, I think, like 42,000 wallers just to buy an F stand. That's kind of expensive when you're first starting off a new airport. So keep that in mind too when you're playing. Uh-oh. Look at that. I just soft locked my airport. I told this airplane to cross, and there's no room. Anyways, so yeah, keep that in mind when you're thinking about buying map contracts. And what I would probably recommend instead is see if you can get some contracts from other players, because those don't cost you any silver planes, they don't cost you any wallers, so you could definitely use those plane contracts instead. Yeah, I don't know why JNB Johannesburg is their test image. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's the way the data is sorted, right? I don't know. Just for you to not play. Bertrand's plays like he plays on spurts. He plays for like a month straight, then he burns himself out, and then he comes back a month later, does it again. So like in this situation, you see here how I have all these planes waiting, but then I have this plane that's blocking my landing runway. There's a couple things I could do, right? I could just keep manually telling planes to line up and then depart, which is something that sometimes I would do. But I could also just go back to the main menu, and then all the planes that are taxiing, including the planes that are taxiing for takeoff, would just disappear from your airport, right? So the planes right here that are waiting for takeoff, they would disappear, which means that they would also they would not show up on my map, and some of them might not even show up on the radar until the 5 to 10 minutes passes, where then they would be on departure. But I think that's what I might do here, just to kind of make sure we're able to get more planes landed, because I still have 155 planes to land here, and we got one plane taxiing, so we can wait for this plane to finish taxiing, because I don't want this plane to have to land again, especially when it's so close to its stand. But yeah, it'll take a while for these planes to all clear up, so that way I can get this plane right down here off my runway. So what I'm going to do is go back to main menu once my taxiing plane is done taxiing. And you know when it's done taxiing is when it says parked. You see how this one says parked? Well, it did say parked. That's how you know it's ready. So once it says parked, we can go back to main menu, and that'll get all these planes to just poof, disappear. Only bad part is these planes that newly push back will have to wait on their timer before they can really take off, but that's not too terrible. It's only bad for the other player who's waiting for me to send it to them. But like all these planes anyways, actually I don't even need to go main menu. I probably should. I'll just keep lining them up. I don't need to go to main menu because it looks like I cleared up before the other plane parked, so that's good. That is good. See you later, Ultra. Are there infinite local, regional, or international contracts, or do they run out? I mean, eventually, in theory, they would run out, right? Because if you go to your map, there's only a certain amount of local contracts you can get. Although like, think about it this way: if I were to go to local contracts here, right, that's one plane. That's not a lot, but like some of these airports have, like, look right here, you got a bunch of different local airplanes we can get from this one airport. So like it would take a lot of contract capacity for you to run out. And that's another, like, I guess, pro tip. In a new airport, it's always a good idea to just keep accepting the new local contracts, even if they're not like the contract that you really want. Like in the beginning, you're gonna get a lot of B plane contracts, but what I've noticed is, because in the beginning of a new airport, I'm just accepting every single local contract. I go in here, I hit local contract, I accept them, and I don't cancel them for a while. And by the time I'm like a regional airport or sometimes international airport, then what happens is I start to get larger planes as my local planes, because now a lot of those smaller planes are out of the pool, right? Because you can't get another B463 from a single airport, because there's only one contract of a B463 from that airport. So you're essentially not removing that from your pool, your lottery pool. And I'm getting a lot more like E contracts as local contracts, as like cargo planes. But still, that's another nice little tip for you to get more larger planes even as a local airport. So 46 says, so when the scheduling system is out, we'll be able to turn off the stand size, right? Yeah, it definitely looks that way. That's like the one feature I'm most excited about with that. Sammy with the landing. Who said that? Raptor said, I think you should turn on the departure manager. Yeah, I'm getting there, right? Okay, actually, the one thing I'm worried about though is, like, I want this line over here. I want this queue to be cleared. I don't really care too much about this queue over here. I need these planes over here to get cleared, so that way, like, this one I think is, yeah, taking off, or yeah, it's departing. So I just need to keep an eye out to make sure I'm not like accidentally blocking the runway again. BGI, what's up, man? Says, guys, send me some player contracts at IADCDEF. Bro, you left out another key part of information. If you're asking for a contract request, what's your username, bro? Always, when you're asking for a contract request, even if your username is the same as your YouTube username, you should always put in your username, what airports you're looking for to receive planes to. That way, if somebody's lurking or somebody's just like, has a plane available and they can send it your way, they can just send it. When you're missing out on your name, they're not gonna. It's impossible for them to send it to you if they don't know your name. I Like Plain Said asked, who thinks Flyboys should add the OG music? What, the Don't Stop, Don't Stop, Don't Stop? Bro, that Don't Stop song. That Don't Stop song, no. So, Bread Channels, I know you don't have enough money at SCL. I know what I did. I did buy 1 million Wallers, though. But what I did was I purchased a bunch of A stands at SCL to begin with. Now, I know it's a little bit different from you because you're not able to just purchase Wallers like I did. But it did help me a lot by unlocking a bunch of the A stands. That way I could get more handling crew and more contract capacity. Even though it did take me longer to handle a bunch of those larger planes, like the E and F size planes, because I could only land one at a time in the beginning. The good news is I was able to accept more contracts and I got more handling crew, so I can handle those planes still and handle like a small or a medium plane at the same time. That might be something you want to consider, perhaps. I think that is the strategy that I'm going to use going forward. We'll see how it goes at Sydney, for example, when I'm here. Yo, what's up, Amit Merk K? That's a good point, Hockey Fan. Hockey Fan says when all the initial locals hit 10 out of 10, you skip a couple levels pretty quickly. Yeah, that's one of the good things about having non-player contracts, is that once you hit 10 out of 10, it's it's consistent, right? You don't have to wait for another player to handle it. You don't have to wait for another player to return your plane. You're always going to get that plane back, and you're going to be able to get 10 handlings, no problem. Yo, what's up, Crumble Guys? Says, hey, Phat, just started BKK, so you sent me some E-planes there. Ruby Redemption 39. Nice. Well, congrats for starting some BKK. My best suggestion for you is to make a post on the Phat Airlines Discord if you can, because on there, and actually what I probably do too, actually, let me continue what I was saying though. Make a post on the Phat Airlines Discord, because anytime I have planes available to go, I always look at the VIP contract board first, and then I send the VIP's contracts. But sometimes there's no contracts waiting there, and then I go to the regular contract board, and then I look, like for example, if I have a plane that's configured for BKK, then I look at the BKK tag, and then I'll send somebody who I haven't sent a plane to, I'll send them a plane. So that's what I'll typically try to do whenever I have planes. It's not every day though that I'm sending out planes. Another thing that I probably should consider doing is, YouTube just released this new community feature. It's supposed to be kind of similar to like Discord in a way. I might play around with that, and I'll make a video announcement or something, or even a Discord announcement. Maybe that might be a good place for us to have a contract board on YouTube. We'll see. Maybe I can do that too as well. I know you're on Twitch, so what's up, El Chique Toilet? What airport do you recommend me buying after Innsbruck? I don't typically recommend buying any airport. That's never on my list of things to recommend to buy using gold planes. There's so many things in the game that you can get for free, right? And airports are one of the things you can get for free. There are so many things you can't get for free, and you can only buy using gold planes, like airplane models, premium passes, and some liveries, right? So those things you can never buy, you can never get for free. But when it comes to airports, you can always get an airport for free by playing the previous airport and leveling it up. So that's typically why I don't recommend buying airports, but I know everybody has their own reasons for wanting to buy airports. So if you were to look into another airport to buy, I mean, there would be a couple questions that I would have to ask you, right? Do you have a lot of gold planes? If you do, then that opens up, a lot of different airports. If you don't, then St. Martin is probably your next best bet. St. Martin's like 4 gold planes, but it's also another small airport, right? It's not a large airport, so it's going to take a while to level up. But in general, it still follows my advice, where if you're going to unlock an airport, you're probably going to want to unlock an airport that is like later on in the list. If you look from top to bottom on the list, you're going to see a list of all the airports, and they're in the same order as you unlock it. So you see Innsbruck on the top, Bari is next, Prague is after that, and then all the way at the bottom is SCL. So right now, I never recommend unlocking the newest airport, because there is not an airport to unlock right now after SCL, right? Now, we're expecting another airport to come out, and there should be another airport to come out, but right now there's no other airport after SCL. So once you max level SCL, you're done, right? Until a new airport comes out. So that's why I don't usually recommend unlocking the latest airport. But you do want to check out the list. You do want to check out the list and go to an airport that's towards the bottom. In general, I think any airport after St. Martin might be a good idea, because then you're unlocking some of the newer airports, and you're working your way both at Innsbruck, so that way you can unlock Innsbruck, Bari, Prague, IAD, Nagoya, and so on, so on. And then if you're unlocking St. Martin, then you can unlock St. Martin, LHR, Sydney, BKK, MSY, so on, you know? So you get to work your way through the pass. If you're like looking for an airport to unlock that's going to give you a lot of like silver planes and a lot of player contracts, then, you know, an airport to consider might be BKK. Although BKK is really only a great airport if you have large planes unlocked already. You know, another airport that might be cool to unlock might be I think BKK would be up there. LHR is up there. I mean, LHR is really great. Even if you don't have large airplanes in your fleet, you can still get a lot of silver planes because you can get a lot of players to send you planes, and you can also send your seaplanes as well. So there is LHR is on the list. You know, Leipzig could be on the list. It's a cargo airport. Has a really good premium pass because you get a lot of like unique cargo planes. But I mean, ultimately, I would recommend something on that later half of that list. Although I go back to my original statement, I don't usually recommend unlocking airports. Use your gold planes on something that you can't unlock for free, and then once you've unlocked all the things you can't unlock for free that you want, then you might want to consider unlocking airports. But why pay for something that you can get for free? Unless it's like really like you're bored or something like that, you know, then I get it. I know, like on this account, my Phat Empire account, we unlocked San Diego on day one of this account, mainly because I didn't want to get bored of just playing Innsbruck and then only playing Bari. Like, I wanted multiple choices to play for different airports. And then we also bought LHR when LHR first came out, because I knew LHR was going to be a great airport for contracts. You know, if you look here, LHR, it's so close to all these other airports, right? And it's so late in the list. It's in the bottom, like towards the bottom of the list. So it's really great. I get a lot of close contracts, right? So I got contracts coming from Innsbruck, from Leipzig, from Prague that are usually about like an hour away. So we can handle those planes potentially multiple times on one single stream. At Bari is like an hour and a half away. And then you got, you know, the longer distance, which you can get planes from Muscat, you can get planes from BKK, you can get planes from Nagoya even. You can get planes from San Diego, from IAD. MSY didn't exist then, but now you can get planes there. You can get planes from a GRU. You can even get planes from SCL as well. So like LHR is pretty a great airport for like player contracts for that reason, especially for like a stream when people know I'm playing this airport, right? So they know they can play the other airport and we can get multiple handlings back and forth. But yeah, I don't typically recommend unlocking airports. But I don't want to just give you that answer like, no, don't unlock airports, because that's not fair to you, because you're probably asking for a reason, right? So I want to make sure like you understand my thought process, but also like I've also unlocked airports, you know, I've also paid for airports. So why did I do that? And I wanted to give you reasons. Premium pass is really where it's worth using your gold planes, because you get so many airplanes in your fleet, and the more airplanes you can handle, right, or the more airplanes in your fleet means the more wallers you can earn, and it's easier for you being the person sending a contract to find a contract partner than it is for you to find somebody to send you a plane. It's very hard for most players to find somebody to send you a plane, but if I have an E190 here, I'm sure every single one of you have an airport that you're willing to accept my E190. You know what I'm saying? So it's real easy for me, or for not just me, but even you. It's real easy for all of us to find somebody who wants to handle your plane. It's a lot harder for you to find somebody who can send you a plane, who will send you a plane. So that's why you want to get fleet planes, because that's going to benefit you a ton for that. And the premium pass gives you a lot of planes in every single airport for free, where you don't have to unlock the plane, you don't have to pay wallers for the plane, you just get the plane with the premium pass. So it saves you a lot of gold planes if you were to buy the wallers. It saves you a lot of gold planes for unlocking the plane, although you still don't have the plane unlocked, so you still, like, it's still locked for you, but you don't have to buy it, you know. Premium passes are really cool. Hockey fan said only airport unlocked with gold planes was St. Martin, attacking the list from 2 directions. Yeah, that's exactly what I would recommend. But St. Martin, it's hard to recommend too, because it's not, even though you're going to technically be attacking the airport list from 2 directions, St. Martin is not a fast airport because you're mainly handling B airplanes at St. Martin. And you get the XP from handling larger planes. You get like massive amounts of XP from handling, you know, D, E, and F planes. But there's not a lot of D, E, and F stands. Now, St. Martin was made a little bit easier recently, I think on 3.0, because now you have shared stands, or what is it called? Combined stands. Sorry, now you have combined stands. And combined stands means that you have a stand that can handle both passenger and cargo planes. Whereas before you had only a dedicated stand, right, for cargo, and a dedicated stand for passenger. So that makes St. Martin a little bit easier, because now you have a few more stands that you can handle more seaplanes at, which is helpful for sure. But still not the quickest airport to level up, not the easiest airport to play, but still pretty good. I don't know what I consider a local airport in Cyprus is. Sorry, that's not my expertise. I barely know what local airports are in world airports, let alone an airport that's not in world airports. Boitana says it's so hard to find someone who takes a seaplane in Europe. Well, yeah, and I guess that's another hard part about playing LHR, is that so many other players are also playing LHR, so you're like, that might be a hard thing, is to find somebody who wants to take a plane to like Bari or to Leipzig. But like, there's a lot of people playing Leipzig. Leipzig is a cool airport because it's cargo based. So if you're sending a passenger plane, some people might not want that at Leipzig. But there's 2 runways. Both runways are used for landings and departures at Leipzig. The main bad part is it's a long taxi time for most planes at Leipzig to get to their stand. I don't really mind long taxi times for departures. That doesn't really bother me. But for arrivals, that feels bad. Raptor plays all airports, but not daily. You just play when you can. Plays all airports. Nice. Hockey fans say, yeah. Because I think hockey fans are responding to Voitando. St. Martin is the worst. But yes, but if you get someone from IAD to send you 6 CRJs, you can make it, as I've had help like that, and I've been trying to help others the same way. Don't forget IAD, but you can also get people to send you from MSY now too. So, but I don't know if there's a lot of, I think you say IAD because there's a lot more people who mainly play IAD versus people who mainly play MSY. Best part about St. Martin is how chill the airport is. I do love how chill it is. I can spend 2 hours in there and it's no problem. And we got no XP. Like, we've got very little XP today. That's fine. You got to make some days you're gonna have those kind of days where it's just like all about just progressing the levels. Because I know last week what we did was we specifically targeted all the planes that were like close at the last handling, so because we wanted to reach the 10,000 silver planes, but that kind of it's hurting us today. So yeah, guys, we're gonna have a call sign competition at SCL. Now the call sign competition is going to last for a long time. Essentially, I think we're going to close out the competition in about 3 months, or when the next airport comes to the game. So that way we have plenty of time for people to unlock it, plenty of time for people to buy more planes, things like that. There's going to be 5 categories. We have a few categories that we're pretty sure that we're going to use, and a few categories that we're still not sure of. If you're a part of the Phat Airlines Discord, and you want to become a volunteer where you help with like brainstorming ideas, go into the bot channel and type in /volunteer, and you'll be added to my list of people to add as volunteers. Volunteers will typically just help with like testing out some bots. Like right now we're testing out a vouching bot, like a vouch bot. It's almost like a rating, but the rating's either good or you can't give anything. It's only good ratings. So it's a rating system for like contract partners. So that way you can rate other players. If they're a good contract partner, you can give them a mini shout out. And then the goal with that is so that way we can give people who are also getting a lot of good ratings, they can also be enabled for giveaways. That way giveaways aren't only locked to VIPs, even though there's plenty of ways to get there is one way to get VIP for free. Actually, there's 2 ways to get VIP for free, but that way it's not like locked behind a paywall. But in my experience, a lot of the VIPs tend to be more active players as well, so that's why we have it locked that way. But that's why we're trying out this new bot. That way we can give people good ratings, the opportunity to do giveaways even if they're not VIPs. So that's one thing that's in motion right now. We're testing it out with volunteers. When we have when I'm working on my website guides, I'm gonna ask the volunteers to take a look at it before it goes live. So you're gonna get a sneak peek of the things before it goes live. Make sure it makes sense. Make sure you understandable, because like one thing I have to keep in mind too is like English is my only language, right? English is my first and only language. I do know a little bit of Spanish, but English is my language, right? And for many of you guys, English is not your first language. It's not even your second language for some of you. So I want to make sure that it's like understandable, and that's where I'm going to ask for the VIPs, the volunteers for some help, just to make sure it makes sense, and to make sure sometimes I also can be a little confusing with wording. So yeah, if you're interested, do exclamation point, or not exclamation point, do /volunteer on Discord, and it'll add you to a queue, so that way I can manually add you as a volunteer. Concords are fun at St. Martin. I only have 1 Concord at St. Martin. Noodle says once a month you do a 6-hour session at St. Martin just playing something on my PS5. Nice. Yeah, that's what I did yesterday. I was playing Destiny 2 and I had St. Martin on, and I was just having a good time. But at St. Martin, I do a ratio here for approach to departure ratio. I do a 1-to-2 ratio, because otherwise my queue gets really long for departures. So I do a 1-to-2 departure ratio at St. Martin, and everything's pretty great. Yo, thanks for subscribing, El Chique Toilet. Appreciate that. Concords are pretty much fun everywhere, until you're broke, and then you have to pay 1 million for large maintenance. But it's still fun. Yo, what's up, Nathan Clive? Nice to see you. Yeah, I'm glad that we're playing LHR today, because it's been a long time since I handled all the planes at LHR. I still don't think I'm going to be able to handle all the planes, but that's the one good thing about assigning planes. Actually, let me see what we have here. Yeah, that's the one good thing about assigning plane stands, is that the way I have the approach manager activated right now is that all of the hearted planes are always going to land first. But because I don't have this option turned on down here, planes are going to always land in the order that I assigned them in. So favorited planes are going to land first, but they're still going to land in the order I assigned them a stand, right? So if I assigned, plane A first, and then plane B was a favorited plane, plane B is going to land first, right? Because it's favorite, it's preferred. But it's always going to land in the order I assigned them in. So the reason why I have it that way, especially on this account, is so that way planes that I assigned last week, or let's say even 2 weeks ago or whatever, those planes are going to be landing next time I stream. So that's good. It gets a lot of progress on some planes, and it makes sure that people aren't like away from their airplanes for too long. Oh, this is a plane that needs to be hearted right there. It's at 8 out of 10, so that's really good. And I like to heart the planes that are at 7 out of 10 or higher. That way we can make sure that they land first, because they're the ones that are going to really get me the silver planes and the XP. And right now I'm looking for both, right? Because I'm not at like 50,000 silver planes. Once I'm at like 50,000 silver planes, then I'm not really as worried about getting silver planes every day. But until then it's like, all right, we need to keep getting more silver planes. Here's a 7 out of 10, so we're going to heart that. Raptor XRR says, you can always send me C or B planes to Europe. Nice. And so does TJ Bay as well. Nice. I like how both of you guys also send me a lot of planes too. That's another good thing. I know I don't really stream my main account too often, but believe me, when I see your planes coming in frequently, and it doesn't have to be every day, but when I see your planes coming in frequently, I remember it, and I try to make sure I send you guys some planes too. I don't buy a ton of planes like daily though, so that's the whole thing. But when I do buy planes, I try to make sure you guys who are sending me planes, especially the ones who are sending me planes frequently, that I get you a plane back or more. Alright, sorry about that. Got a message I needed to respond to. Now, when it comes to the approach manager, on my main account, where I'm playing for multiple hours every day, I do typically use the arrival sequence, by the way. So I use the arrival sequence. I usually have it this order, or actually, I sometimes have G on top, or G like number 3 or something. But I usually have F on top, then E, followed by D, C, B, and an A, right? But every once in a while, especially like at St. Martin or like MSY, those smaller airports where you're really benefiting from handling more of the smaller size planes, every once in a while I'll come in here and I'll temporarily move up. I'll move up like a seaplane, so that way it's higher up. I do wish we could adjust these positions while it was turned off. Like, I don't want to have to turn it on just to adjust this, but you could always also turn it on while the approach manager is paused, or while the approach manager is not even on, and you can adjust it that way. But that's one thing I like to do, is sometimes I'll go in here and just adjust it manually, so that way we can get more B planes landed. Sometimes I'll do that. And when it comes to departure, every once in a while on especially single runway airports, I'll adjust the departure ratio when the queue's getting backed up. For delivery, I always have my airplanes priority 1, and I have my airplanes priority 1 because I want more wallers, man. You know, my airplanes get me more wallers, so I'm preferring them to land. But I also always have the option that says prefer favorited airplanes, right? Favorited airplanes always preferred for me. And then of course the stand preference. I always have the G first, especially like IAD. But it's even there, even at IAD, the G stand sometimes gets occupied because of the two stands next to it. But I always have the G first, and hopefully that should, in theory, help with the blocked stands. You know, stands being blocked by smaller planes, but it doesn't always help. And then you got the ground manager with no settings. So, but the ground manager is pretty useful, especially on airports where planes are crossing the runway. Bro Channels is farming YouTube Shorts and get the YouTube badge. Nice. Do you find 2D view easier than 3D when handling lots of departures? For departures, for sure, especially here where you got 3 different paths for departures. I mean, there's probably a better point. Like, actually, this point of view here is probably better, because then I could click on it. So I could probably just do just as good by being in this camera view. But yeah, it was tough because I was on that tower over there, and then there's like a view over here that I was on. So that makes it tough to kind of click on the right plane. But from this camera angle, very easy to click on the right plane. Do I have to be a VIP to volunteer? No, you don't. Great question. Thank you for asking that. Yo, Nathan, thank you for subscribing, bro. But yeah, you don't have to be a VIP to volunteer. We're actually looking... I've been asking to see if there's any volunteers that are not VIPs, because that's the next layer to our test, is to see if we can get people vouched high enough who are not VIPs, so that way we can see if how we can activate the giveaways for those members who technically aren't VIP. Yeah. So it takes a long time to handle 250 planes, man. It takes a long time. I'm wondering if next time I would be better off also activating more tower managers. You know, even though like I'm trying to save essentially my silver planes. I'm not trying to spend too many of them, but I mean, each tower manager also has a speed up, right? So we have a mild speed up for landing. Which, you know, that means while it's landing and it's going on the runway, it has a speed up, but it's very small, right? But like when I'm playing for 2 or 3 hours, you know, that very small amount might equal 10 more planes, right? When you're playing for such a long time. For departure, it speeds up departures, which, you know, it's looking like it's becoming an issue right now. It's not an issue in the beginning of gameplay. But as we keep playing the airport, it becomes more of an issue. And then you got departure, which speeds up the chocks, which is essentially once the plane parks at the stand, it's going to speed up the time it takes before we can actually begin handling it, which means I can handle more planes at once, right? So I'm wondering if next time I'm here, if I should just speed up all of this. And of course, I think I should definitely activate the ground manager next time, because it's going to speed up taxiing. And although this airport doesn't really have like a bad taxi time, there are so many stands and all these planes have some taxi time no matter where they're going, so that could definitely help speed things up too. So I'm gonna try that out next week and see if that gets anything done quicker, because the goal here, we're gonna be playing a lot of LHR in the next couple of weeks, because the goal here is to unlock another airport, right? We have to reach level 79, level 80, and then level 81 we finally unlock Sydney. So 3 more levels to go, but look at how big this level is. Level 79 is almost 1200 XP. That means level 80 is probably 13 or 1400, and level 81 is probably like 15 or 1600. So quite a lot of XP. Good thing is we have a lot of A380s. You know, these A380s are giving me 189. That's 10% of the way there. So that's going to really help me out. Even these smaller planes, every little bit counts, you know. That's why that's why I accept all planes of all sizes, because every little bit counts, and it's always good, especially once you start running out of handling crew, which we haven't run into a single handling crew issue today. But once you start running out of handling crew, it's nice to have some of the smaller planes that don't require like 13 or 14 handling crew to also have to be able to, you know, handle a smaller one. Yo, what's up, Sarah 1850? Nathan says, I speed it up even if it's for 30 minutes on all other than delivery. But you can even on delivery, you could always just pause the manager, right? You can click the pause button here, and that way it won't automatically select an assigned stance, but the speed up will still apply. Now I'm gonna have to try it out, because the main reason why I'm not doing it is because I want to save silver planes. But like, am I really saving silver planes, or am I wasting time? Right, that's my question now, because time is more valuable than silver planes. I mean, silver planes are a result of your time playing the game, but am I going to get more benefit? And maybe this is why I need to update my tower manager video, do a new video where we're landing, because my first tower manager video I did a speed up check, right, to see how long each plane took in order to get to the stand, and I had the same exact plane going to the same exact stand, although they were different liveries, right, different plane models. But I used that in order to like figure out, oh, is this how much faster is one plane versus another? So maybe I'm gonna add that back into my list of tutorial videos, and that way we could use some data, or maybe the spreadsheets have that already, but we could use that as some data to kind of make some better advice. Because I always tell people at least to activate the approach manager, but maybe that advice could change. See you later, made to move. Thanks for being here, bro. You're hearing it all in the left ear. Let me see something. Now oh, weird. Now my sound is coming out through both left and right, according to my meters. And my AirPods aren't dead. Yeah. I don't know. I have my sound coming out. It says it's coming out from both left and right, so I'm not sure. Raptor says sound is fine for me. All right. Once my approach manager runs out of time, then I'm going to switch. I'm gonna end the stream. So we're about at the end of stream here today. You know, there's a couple of big things happening in my life in the next couple of weeks, so I'm going to keep you guys updated once they happen. It might cause me to play some world airports a little bit less, but I think everything is going to be exciting. Nicholas, what's up? Nicholas Mosca says, hey Phat, do you know any news on the upcoming airports and future updates? So we don't know what the next airport is going to be just yet. There have been like some airports that are like kind of confirmed, but like we don't know when they're going to come. Like Kai Tak is one of the airports, but that one we're not going to see probably for many years, I would guess. But that one's confirmed airport that the developers want to see in the game. Anchorage, Alaska is another airport that we're probably going to see in the game, but again, we don't know when we're going to see that airport either. We don't know what the next airport is going to be. Usually they announce it about like 1 or 2 months after, like between 1 and 2 months of the new airport being released is when they'll announce what the next airport is going to be, and then we don't know when it's going to be released. So we'll probably hear about it in about 2 to 4 weeks, 2 to 6 weeks actually. Is the DH64 getting remodeled? Yes, it will be. I was actually kind of surprised because in this developer blog, it made it sound like the DH64, right? Because this first section right here is what's coming next, and it talked about the Boeing 748, which we got in 3.1. It talked about the E290 and E295, but then it also said here, like, there are other. This is what's going to follow later, along with the Fokker 7100, and then in a new paragraph, it said the Comet was going to get a much needed, deserved new model. I thought it's a new paragraph, so it's still going to be under the what's coming next, but apparently that's still what's coming later, I guess. So this is something that is being worked on actively, it looks like, because you could see it's remodeled here. So it's being worked on, but it wasn't included in 3.1. Wait, when did they talk about Anchorage? That was in Acid Developers on Discord. That's going to come with like a potential cargo overhaul, where they're going to update cargo planes and things like that. We might even see some new cargo airplanes, but that's going to come in conjunction with the cargo, or that was my understanding, at least the way it was worded. But you know, plans can change too, because they're not going to just come out and tell us, oh yeah, sorry, Anchorage is no longer happening. That's not something they typically do. Sometimes things get shelved for a long time. I don't know if you guys remember, or if you guys were here around, but MSY I think was supposed to be an airport that was teased since version 1, right? So MSY was an airport that was like coming soon for the longest time, and then eventually it just kind of disappeared from being coming soon. And then all of a sudden it just came out as an airport right after BKK, without any kind of announcement, without any kind of fanfare. Well, there was some fanfare, but without any kind of announcement, we saw MSY come out. So, you know, sometimes plans can change and it could be delayed for who knows how long, but that's what was mentioned before. What other E-jets are remaining? That's probably a question for everybody else. Hopefully we'll see the 744F then. I know somebody mentioned how there's a 744F in the Wowipedia, but we don't have it in our fleet, like capability for our fleet. And somebody replied back, it's because the 744F isn't used in real life, but I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure. What's up, Aryan? You have the 737 family unlocked? Nice. How have you been, man? I know, have you figured out which airports you want to mainly play? I know you were asking for some advice a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, on like how to figure out which airports to main play. And it's like, it's all about your preferences, man. But yeah, guys, I think that is it for me for today. I got a couple things I got to do. I got to help my mom move some stuff into her car from our house. Because, you know, every Saturday my mom, you know, I appreciate my mom so much, because every Saturday she's coming over to help watch the baby. So that way my wife can rest. Or actually, he's not so much a baby, he's a toddler now. But every Saturday, mostly every Saturday, she comes over, helps us, you know, watch our kid. So that way my wife can rest, and that way I can stream, and it's such a nice thing, because otherwise it would be it was really hard for me to stream when my mom wouldn't be able to come over, or we would have to get a babysitter or something like that, because really we don't get any time to rest, and rest is important, guys. But yeah, that is it for me for today. I want to thank you. Aryan said still not sure. Gotcha. AP Creation says, how can I get cargo plane contracts? I mean, you can always go to a map. You can go to contracts here, go to your map, and look for like different airports. Like if you know of a cargo airport like Leipzig, You could look for cargo airplanes here. I think also, yeah, there's filters as well. So you can click on the cargo right here and it'll show you which airports have cargo airplanes. You do have to kind of click through. Oh, you don't have to click through. It has cargo icon right there. So you can see here some cargo airplanes. If you're trying to get them randomly, they're super random. And my best advice is when you're in a new airport, accept all the local contracts you can, because that'll essentially open up your pool, so that way you're gonna get more of the variety for local contracts in particular. But all right, let me see any other questions. Yo, bye Mert, bye TJ, bye Tomas, bye AP Creations. See you later TJ, see you later Raptor, see you Hockey Fan, see you later Mike. Mike says Cargo Lux, National, China Air, ABC Cargo, a whole bunch use the 744F. So yeah, why don't we have it available as our own fleet? That's a good question. Dan in Vermont, peace out, man. Sarah, peace. I saved your little plane for last. Yeah, hopefully it gets to stand so it doesn't have to land again. But unfortunately, right, you sent it to me today and you're not getting it back today. Seabird Club Airline, peace out, bro. Aryan's going to go plane spotting at Heathrow. Nice. Raptor RR, see y'all next week. Yep, see you guys next week. Stay tuned to Discord. And again, you know, in about 30 minutes, I'm gonna send out the next wave of the Phat Airlines email contract. So if you're interested in getting a contract by email, which I aim to send out now, it's like monthly, but I'm trying to send it out as often as possible. Then you can sign up on that email contract. It's completely for free, and everybody who replies back with their username and a compatible airport, all the compatible airports are listed, you'll get that plane sent over to you, guaranteed. And it's a nice way for me to send more contracts to other players. But yeah, sign up, because in about 30 minutes after the stream, I'll be sending out my email contract. Don't get worried if you don't get it right away, because I send them out in batches, because I don't want to send 2,000 emails all at once, because then that also means I might get 2,000 responses all at once. So I send them usually in batches of 200, like every 30 minutes or so that way I have a little bit of breathing room. But yeah, hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you so much for joining me here today on stream. I hope you guys are doing well. I wish you guys all the best, and I hope you have a fantastic week. I'll see you next Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern. If you don't know what time 11 a.m. Eastern is, just check the time at Washington in your main menu. And your main menu at Washington is the same time as me, 11 a.m. Eastern on Saturdays. And sign up for alerts on Discord, on YouTube, or on Twitch to get alerted if I do a random stream during the week. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for all the support, and thanks for that follow, Brandy. And yeah, have a good one, guys. All right, peace.